Going up. Welcome to the Pop Tower Podcast with your host, the man behind the myth, Peter Dawson, and the soulful Lordy, James Bullock.
Yes, it's the Pop Tower Podcast. I can't say it as good as he can. And I am indeed Peter W. Dawson.
I am James Bullock.
And we are here to talk about video games.
Objection!
Oh? Wait,
I just want to say objection. I just want to do it at least. I just want to do it.
You should let me finish it first, though. Definitely gonna let me finish. I can't do the full voice today, but...
I know, but that sounds great. Like, I know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, no, well, because just a...
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, we're going to talk about video games, television, and movies. Plus, we're probably going to make references to WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah.
Best one since 30, I think.
Yeah.
Like, that's... Yeah, it was a really good one. If you haven't watched it and you like wrestling, check it out. Just bring a lunch.
Oh yeah. Don't expect to see it in one sitting.
No, you cannot. People were falling asleep there.
Yeah. If there's actually footage out there, people recording other people falling asleep during the show.
Oh yeah, like the live crowd had a much worse time than the audience at home.
Yeah.
In between how long it was, not being able to get home, and the lights blinding them.
Oh my god! I was trying to figure out for the life of me when during Orton and AJ, like what were the fans chanting? I thought like Enzo had tried to bum rush the show again, and come to find out, no, they're being blinded. But
yeah, because it was like, this is a pretty good match. What are people?
Yeah, what are people kind of like just heckling the show for? Why are they heckling these guys? And did you see the follow up on SmackDown when Orton said he was blind?
Yeah. Orton, kudos. He was with the fans on this one.
It's so many little gems you'll find him do that you just wouldn't expect him to pull off.
Oh, yeah. Anyhow, so we're going to start by talking about video games.
Yeah.
And as you foreshadowed, yeah, we're going to talk about the Ace Attorney Trilogy. Sorry, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Trilogy, I believe is the formal name. I think that's what they call this particular version.
Yeah.
Because they've done the trilogy before.
Yeah, because I mean, for like the original, especially for the Japanese audiences, just Ace Attorney. But for Western audiences, we have to have that kind of catchy Western sounding, almost Max Power name. So
yeah,
so have that in the forefront.
Absolutely, and I mean it's not that much different than the Japanese name, just completely translated,
Right.
Because all the character names in Japanese are puns, and they are in English too, more or less, which is glorious. So yeah. Because the original Ace Attorney trilogy was Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Justice for All, Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, Trials and Tribulations.
Right.
Also known as Pretty Good, kind of bland, and awesome.
Yeah, which is amazing because, like, in between, we don't really... Okay, for Justice for All and Trials and Tribulations, there's really not that much gameplay difference, but from a storytelling aspect, it's like two totally different worlds.
Oh, absolutely. Because, like, the director even said when he made the original games, he didn't want the art style to evolve too much, and he didn't want the gameplay to change again, because he was really happy with the gameplay elements added for Justice for All. And, because, like, the first game is very simple.
Yeah.
And then the second one adds a couple of new dynamics, because in the... Oh, we should actually probably explain this before we get to it.
Yeah, before we explain it, because we're just assuming that you all know.
Yeah, sorry about that. I mean, this is a very popular franchise, but it also is a bit niche, so it's...
Yeah, and mostly because of the systems it's been available for.
Yeah, that's part of the reason, because, like, these games were originally Game Boy Advance and then DS. So they follow Phoenix Wright, at the start of the series, a very new attorney. Like, you play his very first case.
Right.
And he's, like, he just got his lawyer badge, because lawyer badges are a thing in Japan. Like, it's a very kind of butchered version of the Japanese and American legal systems, more so the Japanese system. And plus, they also do a lot of stuff for, dramatic effect, hyperbole, to critique the Japanese system in particular, because, like, the reputation was essentially you were guilty until proven innocent in the Japanese court system.
Exactly.
At the time these games were made. I still think that's true today. I couldn't be wrong about that. I don't want to make presumptions, but I know that was a reputation that was translated into the games when they were first made.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just don't want to be banned. Although they wouldn't ban me for saying that. Anyway, so he constantly, with the support of a colorful cast of characters, battles a colorful group of attorneys, often who abuse him in some way. And he just tries to make sure that the truth always comes out.
Right.
Like, it's not so much justice, it's truth.
That is true. Yeah, you're very right about that. It's always,
justice is absolutely important.
Even if he doesn't win, that's the thing. It's like, as long as the truth comes out, it's all that matters.
Well, yeah, because that's probably the best part of the second game, is just, it isn't about wins and losses.
Mm-hmm.
Because, obviously, as the player, you're expected to win.
Yeah, you're supposed to win every case. I mean, that's the point. That's the point of playing a video game, is to win.
And then the second case, they kind of turn that on its head a bit. I don't want to give away too many spoilers, even though it's a pretty old game. Since we're talking about a re-release, I don't want to spoil it all the same.
I mean, like I said, for a lot of people, this might be their first experience with it, too, because of the fact that it hasn't come out on platforms that are widely available for people that don't want to own handhelds or enjoy handheld gaming.
Yeah, and now it's on the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, the Switch, and Windows.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it came out on all four. That's so great. And plus it's got updated graphics, which actually look pretty good.
Yeah, it looked very good. Which, I mean, even then, it's still not that... I mean, because you got the anime style, so it's not that much you have to improve upon, but in terms of just, like, blowing it up, making it an HD version, they actually did a very good job of it.
Well, yeah, because, like, up until the fifth game, Dual Destinies, which was 2013... they were using sprites.
Right.
Because when they did... Because Dual Destinies was the first one on the 3DS, and what they did was they switched to CG, and the CG didn't quite look right in Dual Destinies.
Yeah.
Like, if it wasn't for the fact that there's some really ugly stuff in Justice for All, I'd call it the ugliest game. Like, it's up there, though. And then Spirit of Justice, which came out in 2016, they had a much better design.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah. We haven't seen a new one since 2016, just saying.
Yeah,
hopefully there's a new one coming out.
Shocking. I really didn't even think that it was that long ago.
Yep, no, I'm hoping they announce a new one soon. That'd be nice, because I love these.
At least bring us the spin-offs, man.
Well, yeah, because here's the thing. These games are visual novels, where you're essentially solving puzzles. They're linear. There's no real branching path, but they're very engaging on both a dramatic and comedic effect, because they're both funny and pretty dramatic. Like, like, I bashed Justice for All. There's some really good stuff in that.
Yeah, it really is.
Like, there's just so many annoying sequences in that game. But Justice for All in particular, like the third case, when you realize the backstory of some of the characters, oh my god. It's just, you have to wade through a lot of I'm going to call it crap. Especially, you know which one I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, the anime...
It's just the tedium. Like, it's just the tedium of it all. It's just...
That is one of the... Because this series also... This trilogy also has an anime adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the best case to translate to the anime, besides the final one of the third one, because that was really well done, is the circus case in Justice for All.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's only 3 episodes, and so they make it a lot shorter, and they have a really funny third episode that they could not do in the games.
Yeah.
It was great. It's a really engrossing game. The characters are great. I don't even really want to... I will say this, because this is a very minor spoiler, but it's something you should probably be aware of if you're going to play these. It's not entirely realistic. And I don't...
very much so, no. It's an anime. I mean, you look at the anime, it's an anime to a certain extent.
Well, I'm not just talking about the fact that, there's some ridiculous stuff, and, everybody seems out to get you to a ridiculous degree. I'm talking about the supernatural element. Yeah,
I know exactly, yeah.
And I love how this first came about, too, because, so the two big supernatural things are, in the first game, you're introduced to spirit channeling, which is where a spirit medium can channel the spirit of a dead person. and temporarily take their form, which is based on kind of a real thing in Japan. Like, I think it's, you saw this in Rashomon, the movie. So it's like, this is not a new concept, but the exact nature of it, I believe, is different. And then, so that's a major thing that happens in the first game. I don't want to get into why, but that's a thing. And the second game, Justice for All, and then it pops up in the third one as well, introduces a thing called psych locks, where you use a spiritual item to reveal that a person has locks over their heart. So you have to kind of get people to stop lying to you.
Right.
Using supernatural methods. It's very unusual. But no, it's super engaging, especially when you realize the dark secrets that people have and the reasons they keep them. It takes these wacky characters and gives them so much depth.
Yeah.
Which is one of the major charms of the series, I would say. Like, even the mysteries, you know, people complain about figuring out the mysteries, but if you get ahead of the game too much, it can hurt you. It's true.
Oh yeah.
But I still think the mysteries are really engaging, especially because even if you know the answer, you still have to be able to prove it, and that can be the trick.
That's the biggest thing. And I mean, it's amazing because you think about like games like L.A. Noire and there's another one I had on the tip of my tongue. Can't remember that. It just sticks so rudely into the realistic that it loses some of the fun.
Yeah.
Whereas this is, like you said, the absurdity of certain actions and options, especially when it comes to the characters that that you're just trying to prove if they're guilty or not, is just fantastic. Like, even now, I mean, the first Phoenix Wright came out in 2001.
Yep.
So the fact is that they have actually aged incredibly well as a testament to how good the games are.
You don't think they're going to hold off on a game until the 20th anniversary, do you? I just realized we're 2 years from the anniversary.
Oh my goodness.
They better not now.
They might do that. Oh, they might do like a whole package.
Yeah. All 6 the core games and then all spin-offs.
And the spin-offs.
We haven't even talked about those, but we don't need to.
Yeah. I mean, like, right now we're just talking about the main trilogy, which is, like I said, I mean, that's the one I think, if anybody, they've mostly experienced. And that's the one thing I'll say, though. If you have played all 3 already and don't really have the inkling of going back just to play it again, then this really isn't worth it.
No, like, thankfully they're not charging an arm and a leg for it.
Right.
But if you've already played them and you're not particularly keen on playing them again, don't bother.
Yeah.
Like, there's not much of a point. I mean,
it's not any new cases or any real innovations compared to what it is. It's essentially just a remaster.
Yeah, it's just a really good one.
Yeah,
but it doesn't add anything new.
But if you haven't and you're intrigued by it, definitely, this is like the perfect option.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I said, it's not quite Kiwami levels where it's a full remake with added stuff, but it's a really good remaster.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's really much else to say. I mean,
not at all. Like I said, if you're interested from the onset of what we've said and haven't played it before, I'd definitely say give it a try.
Absolutely.
If you have played it and don't really care about replaying it, you just want to own it just for the sake of owning it, it's one thing. But if you don't feel like replaying throughout all the missions and some of the tedium, then yeah, you can just keep it in your memories.
Yeah. Sometimes it's always better to just remember.
Yeah, leave the memories alone.
And also remember this: I have no money. Still one of my favorite quotes from that second show. Just bursts out of a cab screaming, "I have no money."
No money.
So we're going to talk about Season 2 of The Tick.
Yeah.
And to be clear, we're talking about the Amazon version of The Tick, even though I keep referencing the other versions. I've yet to find a bad Tick thing.
The only one, maybe. It's not even bad. It's just, I think it was ahead of its time a little bit. It was the live action, the first one.
Well, yeah, it like, some of the ideas weren't great, but even then, the first episode in particular, I love quoting like crazy.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, remember Christopher Lloyd's cameo?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you're gonna get Metcalfed. He's
Yeah.
like, what's that mean? He's like, he thought he could be a superhero. He went out and bought a jetpack. Now he needs a machine to poop. And not to mention just the ending with Apocalypse Cow. Come on, chum, there's fire everywhere. Fight fire with Arthur. Anyway, so the Tick, in case you don't remember, because we didn't actually talk about this before.
Yes, we did. Talked about the first season.
It's the Amazon series, adapted by Ben Edlund, I believe his name is.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was like the original creator, if I'm not mistaken. So, like, you know, that's always been a cool thing. And then they did this weird thing because the pilot came out in 2016, and then the half season came out a year later. But then the other half season came out like a half year after that.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird breakup. Like they tried to do the Netflix idea of splitting up a bigger season than they needed to, and it just didn't work. But thankfully, like it's good in a one sitting scenario. It's just a binge watching scenario. But
yeah,
split it up and had a big cliffhanger at the end of that middle portion. They made you think like, oh, that was the end of the season. It's like, nope.
I know. I'm just glad now that like they did the whole season at once.
Yeah, man. They actually cut off 2 episodes this time because the first season was 12 episodes, and this time it's just a solid 10.
Yeah, and yeah, of course it stars Peter Serafinowicz.
Yes.
Just to do a callback to that joke, as the Tick, and he continues to be amazing. Like, it's really interesting to see him approach this, because when, you know, first we had, I can't even remember who voiced him in the cartoon. He was great.
Yeah, no,
Patrick,
very much.
Patrick Warburton felt like perfect casting for the original live action show. And then we got Serafinowicz, and it was like, he's not bad, but could he be great? And then we get him, and like, he's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, it's quite surprising. Yeah, and I don't think we need to go over the cast again. It's a pretty good cast.
Yeah, no, very much so. I mean, like the main ones, we have Valerie Curry is coming back as Dodd. Of course, the sister to Arthur, who has to give his real name as a superhero.
Griffin Newman. The Tick, and his sidekick, Arthur. As in, like, King Arthur? No, just a guy named Arthur. I keep forgetting. He's trained as an accountant in this one, too, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They talk about this very early on, is the fact that being a superhero doesn't pay the bills.
Yeah.
So he has to go back to being an accountant.
Right, thank you. It's been a while. And I think I mentioned this before we started, but I unfortunately could not finish the season in time because I had a bit of a fever dream.
Yeah, no, we understand. Because, I mean, the thing about it, other than, like, one of the main characters, which is a spoiler from the first season, the Terror, doesn't show up in this season for obvious reasons. And I was actually surprised because he was such a big deal in the first season. They didn't do, like, any flashbacks or anything. No, he's out of the season. And I really do appreciate that. Like, they stuck to their guns with that.
Mm-hmm. Walter shows up, though, right?
Oh, Walter definitely shows up, and he plays a big role in the last half of the season.
Okay, yeah, of course I haven't gotten that far yet, unfortunately.
Right. No, but he definitely plays a big role, and the fact that they kind of tease some things about his character in the first season that they pay off in the second season.
Yeah, there's just again, this is always like some of the characters, because I mean, I'm trying to remember who's new this season. Dr. Hobbs is new, right?
Yeah. Pretty much all the Aegis people are new in this sense, except for one, which is not a major spoiler, but Miss Lent shows back up.
Yeah.
But she comes with a little bit of a different presentation this time, which I thought was a nice little twist to keep her around and to try to hide that messed up half of her face after the last season.
Yeah, it was the whole thing. Isn't there also Lobster Cleese?
Lobster Cleese, I was surprised when I first saw it, because I thought at first it was going to be an old person, the way they introduced the character. It was like, no, we're going with Lobster Cleese. And that was very interesting, the way they presented that. Especially the motivation as to why Lobster Cleese exists.
Why does Lobster Cleese exist?
Yeah.
And, like, no, yeah, so what I did see, though, it's still pretty funny.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Yeah, like, more of the same, really.
This is the shocking part because, and that was the thing I was saying that we probably wouldn't have that much to talk about because it's this early twist, which is not. I can spoil this one. It's not that big.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to spoil it either.
But
I think I got to it and then I didn't get much further.
Right. But the main premise of this one is that after the Terror has been defeated in this one, from the first season, that Aegis wants to start up the Fab Five? Flag Five. There we go.
Yeah, because they couldn't call it the Fab Five.
Yeah.
They had a line about that.
I know. and they want to restart it. And of course, since Tick and Arthur were a big part of the first season of saving the world, or at least saving the city, they're getting up for nomination. So it's like this it's a really funny implementation of bureaucracy into superhero life.
Something you don't really think about.
Right. I just the thought of like how much cost is damage and everything. It's just a really funny moments that we see the Tick, of course, just trying to be a superhero, but Arthur, who is of course an attorney and is used to paperwork, kind of relishing in the fact that he gets to mix these two worlds of his together, of paperwork and just bureaucracy and actually helping people.
Yeah, no, I just always like to think of, like, remember in The Dark Knight how, like, the one guy realizes that Batman is Bruce Wayne because he's like, hey, this is a car that Wayne Enterprises invented.
Right!
I just keep thinking of, imagine what it would be like to have a guy like that in a universe where Batman built the Justice League satellite. Like, so the Justice League is hiding out on a Wayne Enterprises satellite. Seems weird.
But one of the newer characters talking about when it comes to Aegis is easily one of the best names you could ever hear for a character in the history of a superhero show.
Go on.
Tyrannosaurus Wrathbone.
Ah, yes. Isn't it also kind of pronounced weird? Like, isn't it Tyrannosaurus?
Yes!
Yeah, there's some...
No. When he first said it, I thought I was hearing things. Like, it's just so unbelievable.
Isn't it Agent Tyrannosaurus?
Yeah!
That's actually Agent.
Oh, man, but it's such good stuff. But one of my favorite ones is a new character that they introduced also. That is just a ridiculous... just stereotype done so well, an edgelord.
Yeah.
If you can imagine somebody with the name of edgelord as a supervillain or superhero, you can pretty much picture this character.
Yeah.
It's absolutely
fantastic. There's a character in the original cartoon of the Tick called Sarcasmo, I believe.
Right.
Whose power was biting sarcasm. So, I mean, you know, you just kind of got to roll with the punches.
Yeah, one of the big surprises from the season from a new castmate as well was Stephen Ogg coming in as Flexon, which is pretty much like Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic. I just said fantastic. I had to throw that in there. I didn't mean to do that.
No. It's
No, it truly is. But one of the biggest things from this season is that Doc gets a really big character change that actually opens up a lot of the universe when it comes to the superheroes that I did not expect. And it kind of ties into also one of your favorite characters from the last season, Superion.
I love that dude so much.
Oh man, he is just having the worst time in this season. I'm not going to spoil why and what he does, but it is just this internal conflict going on with him throughout the entire season that actually leaves a big cliffhanger at the end of the season that I thought was surprising. I'm really excited to see what they do for a third season.
Well, yeah, because they got renewed before the third season aired, I think.
Yeah.
Or second season.
Yeah.
Did they not?
Yeah, I believe they did.
Did they? I don't think they did.
Huh.
No, they haven't been renewed. No, they got renewed.
No,
before
they
the
just showed
first
the
season had finished airing.
Yeah. Huh. That is interesting.
Yeah. I just, like, honestly, at the end of the day, I just want to say, I like that we're seeing what Ben Edlund's actual vision was, because, I mean, you always get this decry that the original cartoon was not really his vision, and then the first live action wasn't really his vision. But, because, like, he wrote and was a co-producer on the original animated series, but he was not, like, the creator.
Right.
And, like, he wrote a couple episodes of The Tick, you know, the live action one, but again, it wasn't, like, fully his baby.
It wasn't in his hands the entire time.
Yeah, like, this is probably the most in his hand. Like, he hasn't written as much, but he's been more, like, he's more of an executive producer than he was on the Fox version back in the early 2000s.
Right.
So it's been nice to really see him get in there.
Yeah, and I think like just seeing his fingerprints on it, especially when it comes to the original comic, translates so well into presenting this absurd world that still is rooted somehow in realism, that it works. Like, you could really believe that some of the stuff would happen if this world was this outrageous.
Yeah. It's not too shocking considering some of the other stuff he's worked on.
I know.
For those who are wondering what I referred to, yes, he worked on Venture Brothers.
Yes, like I said, if you do not see the influence of the Venture Brothers on that show and vice versa, it's amazing.
I guess I kind of feel like that's one of the things he had to do is with the existence of Venture Brothers, which granted doesn't specifically parody superheroes, but has a lot of superhero parody in it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, we have a parody of Mr. Fantastic in there. We have...
Yeah, the whole family.
Yeah. There's a lot of parody like that. So.
I say one of the best things I think I've ever seen when it comes to the Venture Brothers, and I love the show. It's one of my favorite shows of all time, is the treatment of the Human Torch.
Yeah.
And it makes so much perfect sense. Like, why is this not like this in the other comics?
You know.
Yeah. Oxygen.
But, yeah, no, season 2 is really good. Definitely watch it. Actually,
yeah, if you
watch
enjoyed
it.
the first season, definitely check out the second season. It does not drop or dip in quality whatsoever. It's, I don't think any episode goes to, like, the 29-minute mark. So it's easy watch, 10 episodes.
Yeah, it's an easy binge. Like, the only reason I didn't do it, because I didn't have time to watch it until yesterday, and I'd watched 2 episodes, sat down to watch it, kept falling asleep, not because it was boring.
Not for boredom. It was a WrestleMania effect.
Yeah, it was the fever. Like, I'm like, I need to lie down to watch this. Oh, I'm lying down. I'll go to sleep now.
Oh man, if we had like someone like to hit a button right now just to throw in the radio station from Vice City with the fever, just like have that come when you said the fever instead of your voice would be the radio host's voice on that station.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I had the fever.
Well, the only prescription is Shazam. Okay, so we're going to talk about Shazam. Now.
Okay, which one are you right now? You in your superhero or your regular? Because you said Shazam twice at this point. So you should be regular.
I'm just going to move past it. Because I got to do some preface here. Because so for those who don't know, I'm going to sum this up here. Shazam was a Fawcett Comics character. Dates back to the frickin' 1930s. Or was it the 40s? Shoot. Give me a second. 1940, actually. He appeared in Whiz Comics #2 in February 1940. So just missed the 1930s. But yeah, like, he doesn't predate Superman, but he's in the Superman area. He's been around for that long, and he was originally called Captain Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
For various legal reasons, he is no longer Captain Marvel. Which can be confusing for many reasons we'll get into. But as a result, they now call him Shazam, even though saying Shazam is how he transforms, which we'll get into. It's really annoying. And of course it also came out at the same time, basically less than a month after Marvel's Captain Marvel came out.
Yeah, that's what we talked about the last time, how confusing it was that we would switch. It was already close together, and two, we had this kind of history and backstory connected to each of these respective superhero movies that just dropped around the same time.
Yeah, and there's also there's the movies share an actor.
Yeah.
Because okay, I'm not going to pronounce this right, but I'm going to try. Shimon Hansu.
We'll go with it. We'll go with it.
Jimon? I swear you put more emphasis on the J than the D.
Yeah, I would think so.
He's in both movies.
Yes.
So.
And to top it off, he actually played a character in Aquaman as well.
It's true.
Yeah.
Oh man.
He's a busy boy.
It's like, hey, would it be a superhero movie? Yes. I remember him actually apparently had a conversation with his son, who felt there wasn't enough African American representation in superhero movies. So that's when he took Guardians of the Galaxy, which probably wasn't the best choice, but whatever. And if he wanted to be a hero for his son, I mean.
Oh yeah.
Because didn't he also voice Black Panther in a cartoon?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. Whatever. But yeah, then he was in Aquaman, and now he's in the this is probably his best role of the lot too.
Oh yeah, honestly,
his Aquaman
you wouldn't even
was
know it was him. You would not even know it was him if you didn't look it up. Because I didn't even recognize him until they did like an extreme close up at one point.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that him? But I really didn't even recognize him at first.
Because I know they used a body double for part of it.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, let's get into the movie proper.
Yes.
So Shazam follows the story of Billy Batson. He's a little orphan boy. I say with all respect, knowing actual orphans, but he's essentially Orphan Billy as opposed to Orphan Annie.
Yeah.
She's busy having musicals. He's busy saving the world. And yeah, he lives in Philly. Poor guy. It is Philly.
Yeah. Oh no, I thought you were going to follow up. No, I know. Yeah, it's Philadelphia.
I've never been to Philadelphia, but I know they murdered an innocent robot. So I hold that against them.
I have been to Philadelphia, and it's something.
Yeah.
It's something.
Yeah. Yep. Still give us the Rocky movies.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that. Anyway, so poor Billy Batson, he's of course got mommy issues because he knows his mom is still alive, but he's in foster care, and he lives with a foster family, and which includes several foster siblings. Most notably is going to be Freddie Freeman.
Yes.
Freeman. Because that name should ring some bells to anyone who actually knows the comic series and for some reason has seen this movie. And his life kind of sucks because it's partially his fault because the family is very loving.
Yeah, our favorite character from The Walking Dead shows up. Oh man, Victor, played by Cooper Andrews.
Oh, okay, right. Sorry,
yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
Oh, the warmest guy in the world.
Anyway, yeah, because the parents are pretty good and the foster siblings are pretty good, but he's got issues, especially because he's like, I have a real mom.
Yeah, I'm not really an abandoned person. I am an abandoned person.
Which I understand the denial.
Yeah, and, he's one of those things like he's thinking as a kid, like mom's gonna come back any day now. Like we're gonna reunite.
It's a pretty relatable reason to be a bit of a dick.
Right.
So I can live with it.
Or not necessarily be a dick, but just to feel like I'm not exactly like you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's... And in the end, despite this, he, after an encounter with some 90s bullies, he discovers that maybe he's not such a terrible kid after all.
Okay, see, now this was the problem I had. This is the sole problem I had with the entire movie when it comes to the presentation of Billy. Because I can understand, like, he's a hurt kid, he doesn't have a mom, or he feels like his mom is not there for him, or she's searching for him, or he's being held back from being able to find her. But him as a good guy, quote unquote, even though he's, in a situation I can understand him lashing out, he doesn't come across as a kid with a quote unquote pure heart.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the main reasons for that is because of the bully situation, where we find these 1980s, 1990s bullies. And the only reason he helps his quote unquote newfound family is because of the mockery that is not directly directed at him, But it's because he finally understands, like, oh, I don't have a mom either.
Yeah, like...
It's like, you can beat up a crippled kid, but don't secondhand insult me.
Yeah. I know, which is a problem, because this is the establishing character moment, which causes him to get summoned to the lair of the wizard Shazam.
Right!
By the way, I love what they do with this, because I'm going to get into it, like, it's going to be a mildly spoilery. I'm going to try to avoid too many.
Yeah.
But, so this is what gets him summoned to see the wizard, who gives him the power to say his name, and then become Shazam. Now, Shazam, by the way, for added fun, is a frickin' acronym. Which, okay, I want to see if I can do this from memory. Don't help me, and I don't have the part that describes it. It's Wisdom of Solomon, Strength of Hercules, but there's also Atlas in there for strength or something too, because there's Hercules and Atlas.
Right.
The Power of Zeus.
Yeah.
What the heck is the other A? Crap, this is gonna... no, Achilles. That's what it is. And then Mercury for speed.
Right.
Yeah. Like, yeah, those are the people he's calling upon. His Achilles heel is saying his name, which is also what gives him his power. Anyway, and as a result, he turns into an Elvis impersonator. No? Nothing? Okay, there it is.
Oh, the worst part about it, when you said it, I thought about, like, that's the first thing I thought about when you said it, and, like, his whole outfit just went white.
Yeah. Well, because it does, because Elvis modeled his outfit on Shazam.
Oh, I did not know that.
That is a real thing.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. That's where the cape thing came from with Elvis.
Wow.
I know. That's why I made that joke. That's something Zachary Levi's been repeating on shows, and apparently it is true, so I'm like,
wow.
I'll bring that up. Yes, it turns him into Zachary Levi, who just looks ridiculously buff.
Yeah.
Like he's both legitimately buff, and then they added, like, cartoon muscles.
His suit just makes him like a tornado.
It's great. And so now he has to figure out how to be a superhero.
It's funny because, like, him as Shazam looks more like the Tick body structure than the Tick himself.
Yeah. And now I'm going to set up... This is one of my favorite things about the villain. Because I want to set up the villain. But I don't want to spoil too much more than this. So the villain, played by Mark Strong, because he also wants another shot at a DC movie. He plays, what's his... Thaddeus Savannah?
Savannah, yes.
Yeah, Savannah, yeah. I couldn't remember.
And the funny thing about it, they say his last name more than they say his first name, which is funny because you would think Thaddeus would be an easier one to say than Savannah.
Yeah.
But
Savannah. Yeah. He was actually one of the previous people chosen to potentially become Shazam.
Right.
So he's just going along with his father and brother in a car trip, and he gets sucked over to the wizard's lair, the Rock of Eternity. And it's like, so he's in the middle of a car trip, and it's like, the wizard just kidnaps him. He's like, hey, so I'm going to try and figure out if you're going to be worthy of being the inheritor of my power.
Yeah!
And then he says no. And he ends up scarring Savannah for life.
Yes.
Like, he ends up just basically ruining his life.
I mean, and think about it, it's one of those situations where, like I said, the way they presented it was like, oh my goodness, he could be like a pedophile, and then he gets mad, so he hurts the kid.
I know.
It's such a weird presentation for a hero.
Well, here's the thing I love. Because one of my favorite things about Blade Runner 2049 was, like, he thinks he's special, he wants to be special, he finds out he's not, and then he goes ahead and does his best to be a hero, knowing he's not going to be the savior.
Right.
Like, that's one of my favorite things about that character arc, ultimately. You know, it's a search for purpose, and even when he finds out the purpose isn't what he hoped it was, he tries to make his own purpose. Yeah, like, that's one of the reasons I thematically love Blade Runner 2049. Now, in this one, I love the call to adventure, and then he gets rejected even though he's willing to jump at the call.
Right.
and it just ruins his life. Like, it really casts this interesting shadow over mythology in general. And it's like, it's one of the best examples of a villain who ultimately is kind of the counter to the hero. Like, origin-wise, they're similar, although the powers are a bit different.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to get into what his exact powers are, because that's pretty spoilery. Because obviously, when he left, he didn't get the powers.
Right.
But his backstory is very much a counter to Billy's. But his abilities aren't, strictly speaking, a counter, which is really interesting. And I just, as a result, a villain who could have been so generic is so impressive to me. Like, he's not quite, like, everybody loves Killmonger. I don't think he's quite at Killmonger level.
Right.
But he's up there for me.
And it's funny because I've actually heard a lot more negativity toward his character than I was expecting.
Yeah, I know. That's so crazy. Like, I get on a base level why he's kind of, not as impressive as you would like him to be.
I think it's more just the lack of screen time, but I don't see why he would need to have a whole bunch of screen time.
No. One of his big scenes when he finally gets power. Oh man!
Right, like, to me, like, that's what he needed more so than anything. It wasn't like he needed to be just running around doing petty crimes.
By the way, his father. Speaking of people trying another shot at being a DC character. Oh man, yeah, because
that's one of my favorite parts of the whole movie.
John Glover, I believe his name is.
Yeah,
John Glover. Yeah, I'll remind people, was in Batman and Robin, and got killed by Poison Ivy.
Yeah.
He was also Lex Luthor in Smallville, not Lex Luthor, Lionel Luthor.
Yeah.
In Smallville, and now he's the father of Dr. Savannah. Yeah. This guy. Sorry, you were kind of starting to make a thought, and I
I was just saying overall, I was surprised like the people were so negative in the presentation of his character, like Savannah's character. I just thought that they did a really good job. Like I said, I just don't feel like he needed to be going around doing petty crimes and kind of like eliciting the fury of Shazam to really make a point.
Yeah. No, it's I would say it's a really well, like, it's almost like, what if a Marvel origin film had better stakes? Yeah. Because, like, it is very much like the perfect fusion of a DC film and a Marvel film.
And it's funny because, like, we talked about Captain Marvel too. Like, one of the weaker points of it was the villains to me.
Yeah. No, Savannah I love. Like, I mean...
And on the opposite end of the spectrum, they kept it very simple. And the presentation of Savannah, to me, worked a lot better.
Yeah, sorry. To expand on the villains, though, do you think it's safe enough now we can talk about Captain Marvel and who the villains actually were?
I think we can, a little bit. I mean, because it's not like it's something that's held back so late into the movie that it's not really that big of a spoiler.
Yeah, sorry, spoiler for Captain Marvel. The Kree are the actual bad guys.
Right.
And the Kree are boring.
Yeah, it just...
They are just... Yeah. They got an AI who wants to assimilate and conquer. Yay! Whereas the Skrulls were actually interesting, but then they weren't the actual villains.
Exactly.
Where in this case, Savannah is really interesting as a villain. Like, you understand why he's like this. I mean, he's still a villain. Like, it's one of those things. Just because he has a sympathetic backstory doesn't mean he's right.
Right, they still present him in a way like, oh, you still cannot root for this guy. He's still a very distasteful individual.
No, one of the things that always drives me nuts is because a character has a sympathetic backstory, it's not their fault. I'm like, no, I mean, circumstance was not kind to them.
Right.
But to say it's not their fault is to deny free will.
And especially with his character and the way they present him and the way that he's actually grown up and the life that he currently lives, if you like to take away his obsession, he would have a pretty good life.
Oh, yeah. Like, it is partially of his own making, but I mean, you can't blame him for what happened.
Right.
Like, especially because what happens also leads to some other events which then get unjustly pinned on him.
Right.
And, that is sympathetic. Again, like, I'm not going to say he's unsympathetic, but there's a difference between sympathy and saying, oh, he did nothing wrong.
Yeah.
Which he very much does. We'll get into that. Yeah, I don't know if there's much else. Okay, well, this movie's hilarious.
Oh, very much so. I'm one of the best parts of it, which is something very simple that you would think that almost any superhero movie would do when it comes to an origin story. We've seen it in like mostly just Spider-Man movies. Is the kind of checklist of what can I do with these newfound powers. But this has turned up a lot.
Oh,
to
yeah.
the point that it's just ridiculous, but it's incredibly hilarious. Like trying to figure out if you can fly while using a skate park might not be the best option sometimes.
And I do love people were complaining about the bus scene in the trailers.
Really?
Well, because, he takes out a bus and then he knocks it over and everything.
Yeah.
And how's he supposed to be here? Like, how they handle it in the full scene in the movie is actually really great.
Yeah, that's going to be people that... I understand, like, trailers are first reactions, you don't know everything, you don't see it in context, but I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, too, when it comes to these things.
It can be hard.
Yeah, I definitely, especially nowadays, but...
No. Like, in the end of the day, I'm just, like, really happy that we got this... Really, like, it's one of the ones that really hit me in the heart. You know what I mean? Like, Wonder Woman hit me a lot, too. And, like, I'm now split on if I like this or Wonder Woman more.
I no offense to Wonder Woman, I like this more.
Well, this one's got a better climax.
And I think one of the main reasons for that is because of what you brought up earlier. Without really saying it, just talked about like the bullies and the kind of age range of where this kind of stereotype will come from. But for me, and I actually told Christy this Sunday, this is the type of movie that if I was like 8, 9, 10 and would grow up, like, this would be one of my favorite movies of all time.
Absolutely.
Like, it's made for that type of demographic that if you're a kid and you saw this would be one of those movies that stick with you for a long time because of not only the good characters, but also the action and just the general feeling of humor that is attached to it. It's a perfect example of, like, a great late 80s, early 90s superhero movie done right.
Oh, very much so. Like, it's the perfect blend. And, like, just to give another example of a joke, because I didn't really do much of that with the Tick, because I didn't want to spoil anything.
Right.
I had mentioned this. Because he doesn't have a name in the movie, they keep making up new names for him.
Yeah, he actually goes about a moment where he actually figures out, oh my goodness, I'm a superhero, I can actually help people in a crime manner. If I can stop a convenience store robbery, I can actually do that now. And as he's doing this, he's actually discovering his powers too at the same time. So every time it's like a new name we come up with.
Yeah.
Dazzle
and
Fingers.
And in this case,
Man.
revealing he's bulletproof wasn't forced.
Yeah, and Bulletproof Man. Like, one of the best parts, and this is a very minor spoiler, because of course we just know that he's bulletproof, was the fact like he wants to test it by getting shot in the face.
Oh yeah.
Was both hilarious and scary at the same time. Like,
because it made me think of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies we recently had, where they end up being bad ninjas, so they get shot, and then they find out they're bulletproof. Yeah. In this case, it's like, he doesn't know what to do in a gun situation. He's not a trained ninja. He's not a trained anything.
Yeah.
I don't think that was a line in the movie, but it should have been.
It was like, I love the fans, like, oh, you're bulletproof. Let's test it out. I should have been the face, like, okay, this movie can end right now.
Yeah, it's a very different movie all of a sudden. But, and I will say, I absolutely love the big twist in the final. I don't want to give it away.
I know some people actually are a little bit upset about that too, because they thought maybe they could use it for a sequel. Like, that could have been the big.
That would have been the predictable thing to do. Do it in here, do it in such a clever way, and make it hilarious because of one thing they do in that scene, which is much funnier than because it reminded me of other scenes in other movies where they try to make a joke out of this big epic moment, and the joke just didn't work as well. This time the joke worked.
And I think we could pretty much, one spoiler that we have noted, of course, Savannah's the big bad in this movie, and Shazam, of course, is the good guy, so they're going to have a confrontation.
Yep.
And just to talk about the hilarity of it, there's a scene where they're having an argument, but they have a great distance between each other.
Yep.
And Shazam does not have super hearing.
Nope.
So you can imagine when the big villain tried to do his speech, and the distance is too far for another person to hear it, it's so great to actually see the reaction from somebody that would be so realistic if that would have happened in real life.
Yeah. Oh, it's glorious. It's just, it's a really good movie. I mean,
I did not come into this one expecting to love it as much as I did.
No, like, as much as I enjoyed Captain Marvel, you know, if we have to do them head to head, I will totally pick Shazam.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is like I said, this is more along like a Deadpool without the just absurdity of and fourth wall breaking.
Yeah, no, it's still in universe, and like it fits into the DC existing cinematic universe shockingly well.
Yeah, for a very good reason at the very end.
Yeah, we won't spoil that. But
no, I'm not gonna spoil that one. No.
I will say this: Henry Cavill does not appear. He's too busy becoming the Witcher.
I'm telling you, the mustache, man. That's the problem.
One day he'll have a proper upper lip. All right. Yeah, no, so, seriously, if you haven't seen Shazam yet, please go see it.
Yeah,
especially because Endgame's going to be out by the time this goes out.
I know, but just have a good time, man. It doesn't matter who you're with. Just, you will go and have a good time with this movie.
It's... yeah. It's why I love superheroes, honestly.
Yeah, this is a perfect example of just a fun superhero movie that actually has.
I said that about Wonder Woman too. Because like you know, the thing I loved about Wonder Woman was just like they're saying it's not as easy as killing the bad guy, but this one reminds you, just because things aren't as easy doesn't mean there isn't still a certain simplistic, wonderful joy in the world of superheroes.
Right.
Like, so it's an interesting kind of counterbalance to it. So, yeah, I think that's about it. And I will say Kofa-Mania was running wild.
Yes, it was. Like I said, they had the chance of making this the most gratifying, from a fan's perspective, WrestleMania in a long time. If it just wasn't so long. But they hit all the right notes. And, of course, if Baron Corbin hadn't been the guy to fight Kurt Angle.
Yeah.
The worst part about it was, like, any momentum killed it on Monday.
Yep. Well, that always happens. Every champion got pinned on Monday.
Oh, well, what can you do? At least we had our moment. If it even lasts. Hey, well, one thing about it too was at least Zack Ryder, he had his moment at WrestleMania this year and it lasted more than one night.
Yep. And now we can go form a tag team called the Ninja Experience.
I thought it was going to be the Shazam Experience if they had to start changing names. Vince is going to get on this new trend now. Anytime something popular comes out, if he finds out about, well, actually just came out, so Vince wouldn't find out about it for a long time.
He's going to be too busy eating his beef wrap.
Yeah.
You know, a burrito.
Yeah.
We're making way too many obscure wrestle jokes.
I know.
All right, folks. So I've been Peter W. Dawson.
I've been James Bullock.
And until next time, no, it's listening to fish is still kind of a stupid power.